I took care of my bedridden, paralyzed mother-in-law for 20 years. The moment she died, my husband Kevin kicked me out of the house and brought his mistress home. I refused to accept it quietly and went back to argue with them, but they pushed me into the river and drowned me. As my soul drifted above in the sky, I accidentally discovered that they had a 23-year-old son. Doing the math, it turned out they had started their affair in the second year of our marriage. And me? Like a fool, I gave up my own life and identity, wasting 20 years of my youth serving his mother. My resentment ran so deep that even the underworld rejected me. When I opened my eyes again, I was back 20 years in the past. This time, I was going to see exactly how they all would die. I stood at the front door of the house, the stench of chickens and ducks held by aunts and distant relatives jolting me back to my senses. As I came to, I heard my mother-in-law shouting from behind, "Emily, what are you standing there like a statue for? Hurry up and kill the chickens and ducks and take care of the guests." That sentence was exactly the same as in my previous life. Back then, I had been so stupid. Even though I had never slaughtered poultry before, I obediently followed orders. I boiled water and cleaned ducks, picked vegetables from the fields, lit fires, and worked non-stop for half the day to prepare several tables of food. But before I could even sit down, they were already devouring everything like wild animals. During the meal, my mother-in-law and Kevin kept ordering me around like a maid. One moment I was asked to get food for this relative, the next I was serving soup to another. It was as if bossing me around gave them a sense of pride. But that very night, my mother-in-law suffered a stroke and became completely paralyzed. The same relatives who had been so enthusiastic just hours earlier immediately kept their distance, afraid we'd ask them for money or help. Even her own son, Kevin, used work as an excuse to stay away from home for years. Only I remained, caring for her like she was my own mother, feeding her porridge, helping her use the bathroom day and night. The moment she called for me, I would leap up and rush to her side. Thanks to my meticulous care, she lived to be 80 years old. I naively thought that once I fulfilled my duty caring for the elderly, I could finally enjoy life with Kevin. But right after the funeral, he brought that woman, Linda, into our home and tried to throw me out. 20 years of non-stop sacrifice, and he wanted to toss me aside just like that. I needed answers, so I went back to confront him. Seeing I wouldn't back down, the two of them became murderous. While I wasn't paying attention, they pushed me into the pond. I didn't know how to swim and drowned right then and there. Kevin not only claimed I accidentally fell in, but also extorted a large sum in compensation from the neighbors. After that, the three of them lived happily ever after, completely forgetting the fool who had spent 20 years serving them without complaint. Now that I had a second chance, none of them would get off easy. Just as I was about to talk back to my mother-in-law, a woman dressed flamboyantly walked through the door. That's right, it was Linda, the mistress Kevin had kept on the side. And the little boy by her side? Kevin's biological son. Back then, Kevin had told me he didn't want to see me suffer, so he didn't want me to have kids. He said it didn't matter if the family line ended. I had been moved to tears. Thinking about it now, I realize how hopelessly foolish I was. At some point, my mother-in-law came over and deliberately gave me a shove. "Oh, Linda, you're finally here. I've been waiting for you for so long. If you were my daughter-in-law, I'd be the happiest woman alive. And this little cutie is just too adorable." Still pretending. She had known about Kevin and Linda's affair all along. The only reason she stayed quiet was because she was afraid I'd leave and stop taking care of her. She warmly welcomed Linda inside, then turned and rolled her eyes at me. "Some people," she said, "really should learn from someone like Linda, so capable and sweet, standing there like a wooden post just getting in the way." Kevin also gave me a look, signaling me to go do chores. Who the hell did he think he was? Ordering people around like he was royalty? I strode forward and shoved the chickens and ducks into Linda's arms. "You're right, Mom. Couldn't agree more." "I'm dumb as a pig," I said with a blank face. "Clumsy too. I'm not even 1/10,000th as capable as sweet Linda here. I don't know how to do any of this stuff, so today we'll have to trouble Linda to prepare a nice big meal for Mom." Linda's face instantly changed. She looked over at Kevin, clearly caught off guard. Me? That's probably not a good idea. I mean, I'm not even part of the household, she mumbled awkwardly. What if I mess up and embarrass everyone in front of the neighbors? Kevin shot me a glare, clearly about to scold me. But I cut him off coldly. What do you mean, not a good idea? You and Kevin are so close, you're basically family. No need to be so formal. We really appreciate the trouble. Without giving him another chance to speak, I shoved him straight into the kitchen and slammed the door shut behind him. For the sake of appearances, even though he was visibly annoyed, he didn't dare throw a tantrum. All he could do was frown and sulk while stuck in the kitchen. Meanwhile, I lounged comfortably in the living room, cracking sunflower seeds and chatting with Kevin's various aunts and cousins. These women didn't care who worked hard or who slacked off. As long as you could chat with them, you were considered someone with sense. Kevin, worried about Linda, tried to sneak into the kitchen a few times to help her, but I blocked him every time. Both he and his mother were filled with schemes and gave me dirty looks now and then, but I completely ignored them. Once a few dishes were ready, I quickly called the relatives to come eat. By the time Linda finished cooking the final dish, most of the guests were already full. Kevin, distressed, pulled her down beside him and kept piling food onto her plate. The whole scene rubbed me the wrong way. I pulled back my chopsticks and stirred through every dish on the table. Kevin looked like he was about to snap again, but before he could say anything, one of the more observant relatives brought out a cake. I pretended not to notice the tension and picked up the knife, humming a little tune as I began to cut the cake. Then, out of nowhere, my mother-in-law let out a huge wet sneeze right onto the slice I had just taken. Her spit and mucus sprayed across my hand and the cake, making the whole thing revolting to even look at. Some of the guests visibly gagged. Linda, however, looked incredibly smug and seized the moment to retaliate. "Oh, come on, sis-in-law, eat some cake. It's so delicious," she chirped. A relative nearby whispered under their breath, "It's dirty now, just toss it." But Linda gasped dramatically. "Dirty? What do you mean dirty? It was just a sneeze. Sis-in-law, you're not actually disgusted by Mom, are you? Seriously, we're family. How could you be so petty?" One of Kevin's aunts immediately grew furious. "Disgusted by me, huh? You little orphan, you think you're some kind of princess or what? That cake was paid for by my son's hard-earned money. You'd better not waste it. If you won't eat it, you're just slapping me in the face." I wanted to slap myself then and there. Back then, just to be with Kevin, I'd fought bitterly with my parents and even lied, saying I was an orphan. I thought that without my parents' disapproval, love would go smoothly. I never imagined they'd turn my lie into a weapon to belittle me over and over again. Kevin jabbed his elbow into my side. "When did you get so delicate? It's just a little spit and snot. Don't waste it." Easy for him to say. "All right, then let's switch," I said, my voice calm. Kevin hadn't expected me, always the quiet, obedient one, to talk back. He instinctively shielded the cake with his hands. Linda jumped in to scold me too. "Sis-in-law, come on, a little loss is a blessing. Don't be so uptight." I smiled sweetly, nodded, then suddenly smeared the entire slice of cake right across her face. "A blessing, huh? Well then, I wish you blessings as vast as the ocean. Go on, eat up, eat more, enjoy every bite." Kevin rushed over to push me away. "Emily, what the hell is wrong with you? Is this how you treat guests?" Then he turned to Linda and carefully wiped the cake from her face, handling her with a tenderness I had never once experienced. That look in his eyes, gentle, loving, protective, it stabbed me like a knife. Taking the chance, I exploded. Grinding my teeth, I flipped the entire table over. "Kevin, you're yelling at me over her. Don't forget who your real wife is." His forehead bulged with veins as he shoved me hard. "What the hell is wrong with you? Linda's hurt now." "You've got some nerve," Kevin snapped. "Get on your knees right now and apologize to Linda, or I swear I won't forgive you." I seized the moment and let myself fall dramatically to the floor. "If you're going to defend her, then let's just get a divorce. From now on, you go your way, I'll go mine." The moment I mentioned divorce, a flicker of surprise crossed Kevin's eyes. But with all the relatives watching, he couldn't afford to lose face. "Fine, divorce it is. What's the big deal? You're a woman with no family, no home. Let's see how you survive without me." Whoever comes crawling back first is a damn dog. Perfect. That was exactly the line I'd been waiting for. Smiling to myself, I packed a small bag of belongings and walked out without looking back. Once I left Kevin's house, I sent a message to my mom, admitting my mistakes. I thought she'd be furious and refuse to talk to me. But she replied almost instantly, "Come home." Just 3 simple words, yet they hit me right in the heart. I had once said such cruel things to my family for the sake of a man who never loved me. And look where it got me. The regret stung deep. I sat in a cafe for hours, reflecting on everything. By late afternoon, Kevin's family group chat suddenly blew up. Someone said Mom had fainted. Who has a car? Can someone drive me? Kevin messaged the group, panicked. No one responded. Annoyed, Kevin sent an angry emoji and followed up with, "Oh, you all reply fast enough when there's food, huh? But when it's time to help, you go mute?" Only after a long while did a few relatives half-heartedly respond. Not long after that, Kevin called me. He said his mom had had a stroke and was now paralyzed. He told me to hurry over and take care of her. Of course I had to go, but I wasn't going to help. I was going to enjoy the show. When I arrived at the hospital, I first handed over some supplies I'd prepared in advance to one of my dad's friends, then casually made my way to my mother-in-law's room. The moment Kevin saw me, he stormed over, ready to lash out. "What the hell is wrong with you? You're only showing up now? All I did was say a few words, and you ran away from home? Get over here and put a diaper on, Mom." I scoffed and tossed the adult diaper in my hand into the trash. "Oh, Kevin. Weren't you the one who said earlier that whoever comes crawling back is a dog? Now you need me, and suddenly I'm welcome again? We're nothing to each other anymore. You expect me to come take care of your mother? Dream on." His eyes widened in disbelief. "So just because my mom got sick, you want a divorce? Emily, you've got a heart of stone. What kind of wife, what kind of daughter-in-law are you?" He really had the nerve. "If I hadn't been kind enough to take you in back then," he added, "you'd still be crying in some alley, calling out for your dead parents." Some of the relatives in the room started to chime in, all taking Kevin's side. "It's your duty to take care of the elderly. Everyone gets old one day. Just do as you're told. A grown man like him changing his mother's diapers? Come on, that's just too much." "Couples fight all the time," someone else added. "Cool off and get over it. Your family." Even the old man in the next hospital bed couldn't help but comment, "Glad my son didn't marry someone like her. I'd have been pissed into an early grave." Everyone was staring at me with disgust, trying to shame me into submission. But I didn't flinch. Slowly, I turned and dragged out the one person hiding in the corner. Looking smug, "Linda. She's the one who should be taking care of your mom," I said coldly. Linda went pale on the spot. She started backing away. "What are you talking about? Don't make stuff up. You don't want to take care of your mother-in-law, so now you're trying to throw it on me?" Kevin shoved me aside and rushed to check Linda, as if she were some fragile doll. Then he pointed a finger in my face and shouted, "Wow, Emily. I never realized how lazy and selfish you really are. Not only do you refuse to help, now you're slandering other people? Linda is just a guest I invited, and you expect a guest to take care of my mom? How does that even make sense?" "Oh, a guest you sleep with, huh?" I shot back without blinking. The room fell silent. Gasps echoed through the ward. Relatives and even the old man in the next bed all turned to look at Kevin and Linda, their eyes filled with shock. But the two of them just kept scrambling to deny it. "You're insane. Spouting nonsense. I swear I'll beat you to death," Kevin roared, raising his hand, ready to slap me across the face. But I quickly stepped aside and dodged him with ease. "Am I really spouting nonsense? You know exactly what you've done," I said coldly. Then I pulled out my phone and called the nurse station, asking them to bring over the documents immediately. The moment Kevin saw what was written on those papers, he gasped, his voice trembling. "No, that's impossible. There's no way you could know about this." From the very moment I arrived at the hospital, I had sent hair samples from Kevin and his son straight to the lab. No matter how much I talked, nothing would be as convincing as a paternity test. Since Kevin cared so much about saving face, I'd make sure he completely lost it. He thought he'd kept everything airtight, but I had caught him off guard, and the truth slapped him square in the face. "Why would it be impossible?" I said coldly. Kevin, there's no such thing as a secret that never leaks. Your son with Linda is already 3 years old. The evidence is right here in black and white. How much longer were you planning to keep this from me? After everything I've done for this family, was this your idea of loyalty? You've been sneaking around behind my back with her, and all this time you told me she was just your little sister? Doesn't your conscience hurt even a little? I took a deep breath. Since you've already had a child together, I won't stand in your way. I'll step aside so the three of you can be a happy little family. But the task of taking care of your mother, that now belongs to your new wife. Now that the secret was out, Kevin stopped pretending. Yeah, that's right, he's my son. And you know why I like Linda? Because she's gentle. She doesn't bark at me like you do. You're always nagging, like some psycho tigress. Always talking about life goals and planning everything out. Who the hell are you to tell me how to live my life? You're nothing but a clueless idiot. I had used my knowledge and effort to help him all those years, and now he was mocking me for it. I suddenly remembered what my mother used to say. People who aren't aligned in values can never walk the same path. Back then, I'd thought she was just being overly traditional. But now, it was gospel truth. Watching Kevin puff up with pride as he shouted his confession, you'd think he was receiving some kind of award. Linda, standing next to him, could barely keep the smug smile off her face. Gone was her delicate, innocent act. Now she stood there with her chin tilted high, full of arrogance. I used to feel a little guilty about wrecking your marriage, she said snidely. But now it looks like I actually saved Kevin from a miserable life. But don't be too upset. When it comes to love, the one who's not loved is always the third wheel. I'm too happy to feel sorry for you. A whore and a dog. I hope they stayed glued together for the rest of their miserable lives. Back then, I handled everything. Groceries, cooking, bills, caring for his mom. All they had to do was flirt and sneak around like some tragic love story. Now, I was going to sit back and watch just how long they could survive in the real world. Once I got what I wanted, I didn't waste another second on those two geniuses. Kevin and I had never registered our marriage, only held a banquet, so the divorce was no more complicated than a breakup. Left to deal with the fallout, Kevin and Linda found themselves under the intense scrutiny of their relatives. Faced with the mounting pressure, Linda eventually had no choice but to take on the responsibility of caring for Kevin's now paralyzed mother. At first, she acted willing, but not even a week passed before I got word. Linda had had enough. She refused to deal with bedpans and diapers anymore and insisted on going back to work. But I wasn't about to let her off that easily. I gathered old records and reported her affair to her workplace. The next day, she was fired. Still not giving up, she started applying for other jobs, but the social circles were small. Her reputation had already spread. No one dared hire her. She was completely unemployed. And since she was now jobless, there was no excuse not to care for her paralyzed mother-in-law. But her so-called care was a total joke. She put on a show, but it was all for appearances. Meals and clothes were basic at best. Every morning she'd cook a huge pot of plain rice porridge and serve it for all 3 meals. When it was time to feed her, she'd just ladle out some cold congee and dump it in front of her. The adult diapers? Changed once a day, if that. By April and May, the room reeked of fermenting urine and feces. The smell was enough to make anyone gag the moment they walked in. At first, Kevin's mother didn't dare complain. After all, this was the new daughter-in-law. Precious, delicate, someone to be pampered. But as time dragged on, she couldn't help but start venting to Kevin. Linda's way too lazy, she grumbled. All I get is cold porridge every day. She won't even help me bathe. At this rate, I'll be dead soon. Kevin didn't believe her at first, until he saw with his own eyes that the flesh on his mother's backside was starting to rot. Only then did Kevin realize what kind of two-faced person his beloved Linda really was. Furious, he exploded on the spot and hit her. But unlike the weak, submissive version of her in my past life, Linda wasn't having it this time. She grabbed a stool and flung it straight at Kevin, screaming that she was leaving with their son. That terrified him. In an instant, all his bluster vanished. He groveled, begged, and coaxed her until she reluctantly stayed. When I heard about it, I nearly burst out laughing. I had given him everything and he never appreciated it. Now look at him, chasing after someone who treated him like trash. And this was only the beginning. It was time for Kevin to pack his bags and get out of the spotlight for good. After returning home, I began slowly taking on responsibilities in the family business. One day, I heard that Kevin had taken Linda shopping for clothes. I checked the time and casually made my way to the mall for an impromptu inspection. The moment Linda spotted me, she clung to Kevin's arm, flaunting their relationship like a prize. "Oh, I mean, sister-in-law." "Oops, not anymore, right?" she smirked. "I should call you Emily now, shouldn't I?" "Thanks for handing Kevin over to me." I acted like I was about to throw up. "Trash belongs with trash. You're a perfect match. I hope you both rot together." Linda rolled her eyes hard enough to see her brain. "Don't be bitter just because you lost. Kevin dumped you, remember? Stop acting all high and mighty. What's there to brag about when you're just a store clerk now?" She crossed her arms, puffing herself up like some arrogant rooster. I glanced down at my outfit for the day. A tailored sapphire blue designer suit worth $8,800. No wonder she couldn't recognize it. Feigning shock, I looked up at Kevin. "Wait, are you actually buying clothes for Linda? This store isn't cheap. When did you get so generous?" The two of them had just been window shopping, but after hearing me say that, they turned around and started scooping up outfits by the dozen. Once they were done, the cashier rang up the total. $158,000. Kevin's eyes nearly popped out of his head. But he had his pride, and with Linda pressuring him, he clenched his jaw and drained his entire savings. Perfect. His money was gone, and his job was hanging by a thread. Let's see how long he could keep pretending he was better off. Trying to prove he was living his best life, that idiot even dragged all the bags over to show off in front of me. "I told you," I said, deadpan. "You'll never have a good life without me." Linda jumped in, full of attitude. $158,000. That's not pocket change. A broke nobody like you couldn't afford this in your dreams. Besides, Kevin's a manager here at the mall. He earns $30 a month. You'll never find another man like him. I couldn't help it. I started slapping them with the truth, one blow after another. "The whole mall belongs to my family," I said with a smirk. "You think I can't afford it?" Kevin burst out laughing. "Why not just say you're the daughter of the mall owner while you're at it?" What a joke. Clearly, Kevin still didn't know his place. After all this time managing the store, he still had no idea who owned it. No wonder he'd always been stuck at the bottom. I pulled a black diamond VIP card from my bag and held it up. "Manager Kevin, do you recognize this?" There was only one of these cards in the entire mall. Unlimited credit. Kevin's eyes went wide as saucers. He snatched the card and examined it carefully. When he realized it was the real deal, his face went pale. Then, in a moment of panic, he started yelling, "Security! Security!" Pointing at me, he shouted, "She stole this! Call the police!" I couldn't believe the logic of this man. Linda, dumbfounded at first, quickly jumped on board. "You really are something else. Just to win Kevin back, you'd stoop so low as to commit a crime?" I looked at these two clowns and nearly laughed out loud. Right in front of them, I called HR. "Fire Kevin. No severance, no compensation. His affair is a liability to the company's image. Terminate him immediately." Just a second ago, Kevin had been enjoying the show. But the very next moment, his phone buzzed with his termination notice. Kevin stood frozen, rereading the termination message on his phone in disbelief. Even after making a call to confirm it, he still couldn't accept the truth. But once it sank in, that his only source of income was gone, he panicked. Grabbing the shopping bags, he ran back into the store, begging to return everything. But the thing is, I made sure that his particular store didn't allow returns. Embarrassed and furious, he lost it. Dropping all pretense of pride, he chased after me through the mall like some street thug, yelling obscenities. "Emily, so what if you're really some rich heiress? You think having a bit of cash makes you better than everyone? You think you're somebody just because you got me fired? I earned my job fair and square. You're the shameless one." Too bad for him. My personal bodyguards weren't there just for show. Within seconds, they had him lifted off the floor and tossed out of the building. When I first met Kevin, he was just a delivery guy. I felt sorry for him. I secretly pulled strings with HR to get him promoted to manager, hoping it would make his job easier and his life better. He was so naive. He actually believed it was just good luck, thought some ancestor was watching over him. Now he finally understood that everything he ever had was thanks to me, his ex-wife. And now, I would be the one to take it all away. I wanted him to lose everything, to regret the biggest mistake of his life, betraying me. After that mess, I figured Kevin would finally learn his lesson. But clearly, I'd underestimated his ability to keep making a fool of himself. Just a few days later, he showed up at my new place. Somehow, he'd found out where I lived. He set up a massive banner right outside my apartment complex that read, "Jiang City's rich heiress abandoned her husband and mother-in-law, heartless and disloyal." Right next to it, a blown-up, unflattering photo of my face. I was so mad I actually laughed. Abandoned her husband and mother-in-law? The audacity. Kevin was a master of the reverse blame game, always playing the victim louder than anyone. When he got no reaction outside my building, he marched straight to the entrance of my family's mall. This time, he brought a loudspeaker and blasted recordings of his fabricated sob story on loop, trying to turn public opinion against me. Shoppers, unaware of the truth, started pointing fingers. Gold digger, they called me. And when they found out I was the daughter of the mall's owner, some even returned the items they'd just bought. Then, somehow, Kevin figured out how to live stream. He opened an account and started bad-mouthing me 24/7, spreading lies non-stop. He even filmed his mom's pitiful condition to gain sympathy and attention, painting himself as the tragic hero. The videos went viral around the neighborhood. Business at the mall began to suffer. One evening, just as I was leaving work, Kevin jumped in front of me, bold as ever. "Emily, put me back as manager," he threatened, "or else don't blame me for what happens next." I narrowed my eyes and baited him on purpose. "Nope, what are you gonna do? Keep lying about me? Or are you thinking about killing me now?" He snapped. "You think I won't beat your face in right here?" That was all it took. My undercover security stepped forward, pinned him down on the spot, and handed him over to the police. "Officer," I said calmly, "this man has been slandering me and threatening my safety." Kevin clearly didn't expect that move. The moment he saw the cops, panic hit. He tried to run, but it was too late. He didn't commit a serious crime, so he wasn't charged, but they still gave him 15 days of administrative detention. With Kevin locked up, Linda didn't have much fight left in her. She didn't come looking for trouble. Instead, she started clinging to wealthy old sugar daddies, ignoring her child and Kevin's mother completely, focused solely on getting ahead. I accidentally let some things slip to one of those old men's wives. That very night, a group of furious women cornered Linda on the street. They yanked her hair, tore her clothes, and left her half-naked in a complete mess. The most shocking part? She didn't run. She actually dropped to her knees in front of one of the wives, begging to be allowed into the household. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. With that kind of shameless persistence, she could have succeeded in almost anything, but no, she chose to debase herself. When Kevin got out of detention and saw Linda all bruised and battered, his heart ached. He stormed over to confront me, full of self-righteous anger. "How dare you hit her?" he barked. I nearly laughed myself sick. Without a word, I showed him the footage on my phone. "Your wife's been playing mistress so long, she doesn't even know how to be a decent human anymore. And now that you're useless, she doesn't even want you." She ran off to cling to another sugar daddy. Why would anyone keep Kevin around after that? Watching the video, Kevin was livid. His face twisted with rage as he turned and stormed off to take it out on Linda. At first, she tried to stand her ground, but after a solid beating from Kevin, she finally quieted down. To stop her from pulling another stunt like that, Kevin decided to send her back to his hometown to take care of his mother full-time. But there was no way someone like Linda would take that lying down. All her pent-up frustration landed squarely on the old woman. She didn't just neglect her, she outright abused her. No food, no water, sometimes even slapping and screaming at her. Late one night, I got a call. The voice on the other end trembled as it pleaded. "Emily, please, come save me. I was wrong. That woman's gonna kill me." It was Kevin's mom. I know I was wrong before. I didn't see things clearly. From now on, I swear I'll treat you like my own daughter. Please come back. I smiled as I popped a cherry into my mouth and replied, "Oh? Have you already forgotten what you said before?" You praised Linda for being such a sweet and capable girl. You said you'd die happy if she were your daughter-in-law. Well, your wish came true. Why aren't you happy now? You really are greedy. You want everything both ways. If you come back, she begged, I'll admit I was wrong. Please, Emily. Her voice cut off mid-sentence, interrupted by a sharp, nasty screech in the background. You old hag! Who the hell are you mumbling to in the middle of the night? You want me to shut you up for good? Then came the sound of a violent slap. More screaming. More chaos. And me? I felt incredible. This was karma. People like her are never satisfied, always looking elsewhere while eating from their own bowl. This was just what she deserved. Not long after, I received the news that the old woman had died. They said that when she passed, she weighed barely 50 pounds, down from over 100. Her mouth and eyes were wide open, like she couldn't rest in peace. Kevin was flat broke. He didn't even bother holding a proper funeral. The relatives pitched in just enough for a quick cremation, and she was buried in haste. With that, Linda's job of taking care of the old woman was officially over. She couldn't wait to run back to the city, and Kevin had no excuse left to stop her. He let her go without a fight. Neither of them had an income. They lay around all day in a cheap rental, while bills piled up. School fees for the kid, groceries, rent, everything needed money. Kevin scraped together a couple $100 from backbreaking labor, only for Linda to blow it all on a manicure. Their days were a mess. They fought more often than they ate. Honestly, I thought about just letting them continue destroying each other, but Kevin had the nerve to come crawling back to me again. He looked pathetic, unshaven, clothes tattered, a far cry from the arrogant man he used to be when we were together. The moment he saw me, he dropped to his knees and clung to my legs, sobbing like a child. I was wrong. It was all my fault, he cried, his nose running, tears streaming. I should never have fallen for Linda. She tricked me. That kid's not even mine. She had him with her ex-husband. That time you ran the paternity test, he said. She already knew. She swapped our son's hair for my mom's. After her ex dumped her, she lied and said the child was mine. If I'd known the truth, I'd never have stayed with her. Please believe me, Emily. Give me one more chance. I swear I'll never make the same mistake again. If I hadn't seen firsthand how vicious and heartless he could be, I might have actually believed him. I stepped back and shook off his hands. If we'd never broken up, I said calmly, and I kept helping you take care of your mother, do you think our ending would have been different? He lit up like he saw a glimmer of hope. Yes, definitely. We'd be living a happy life right now. I burst into laughter. What nonsense. Happy life? Please. Though, to be fair, he did live happily ever after with Linda in our last life. Too bad I didn't. I died, miserable, broken, and betrayed. Men like him? Their mouths are full of lies. Not a single word can be trusted. You're in your 30s, Kevin. And you still think you can trick me like I'm some clueless teenager from 2008? What a joke. I deliberately put on a sympathetic look and shook my head with a sigh. It's all because of Linda, isn't it? I don't blame you. I know you didn't mean for any of this to happen. It was that woman, always clinging to you, pestering you non-stop. That's what ruined everything. If it weren't for her, you'd probably be a millionaire by now. And we'd be raising a bunch of kids together. Kevin looked like he was under a spell. He just kept muttering over and over, that damn Linda ruined my life. She destroyed my family. It's all her fault. That bitch deserves to die. Cursing non-stop, he ran all the way home in a frenzy. And when he got there, he grabbed a kitchen knife and hacked Linda so badly she was unrecognizable. After he was done, he planned to come after me. But by then, his mind was completely gone. As he was crossing the street, a fuel tanker happened to be driving by. He ran straight into it, no hesitation, and was crushed instantly. There was nothing left but pulp. Kevin had already burned all his bridges with his family. When the police tried contacting his relatives, not a single person was willing to claim his body. In the end, I stepped in and had his ashes scattered into the village's communal sewage pit. Since he loved being trashed so much, it was only fitting that he rot as a stinking ghost. And just like that, every single person who had ruined my life and my last one got exactly what they deserved. Not a single one of them ended well. This ending, I was more than satisfied. I've always believed that good and evil never go unpunished. Sometimes karma just takes a little while to catch up. But it always arrives, always.